Yes, Sir Hairless here. Today, we have a very interesting one. So, I came onto YouTube. I was going to do my next Diana Ankudinova reaction to a different song. I won't say which one. And this popped up. Happy New Year. And it caught my eye. I saw it's only about a minute long. 1 minute and 18 seconds is the video. It's technically a YouTube short, in fact. On her channel, it's under the shorts section. But if ever there's a time for me to do a video on her New Year song without waiting until next year, it would be now. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it means that I ended up finding this a suitable song to do a video on. The reason I wanted to take a gamble is because Brandon Stone. He was in my last Diana reaction, What a Wonderful World. Please check that out. If you haven't seen that one, card will be up here. And I really liked him from what I saw there. In the description of this, he did the music, Diana did the lyrics. So I'm very interested. It will be a nice short one today. Something different. Will this be a full song? Is it only part of a song that's, I don't know, released elsewhere? I have no idea. And if this is the first video of mine you're watching in 2025, I hope your year has got off to a great start. And just like Diana, I wish you a very happy year ahead. Okay, that is the start. It's just sudden. It just starts like that. Дед Мороз давно хотел услышать стих. Закрывай свой комп и доставай гирлянды. Ты мечтал весь год услышать бой куранта. С Новым годом всех поздравляю я. Улицы в огнях сверкают отражения. Пусть в вашем доме будет смех и радость, без сомнения. Атмосфера вся цветная, повторяй движения. С Новым годом! С Новым годом! Пусть в вашем доме будет смех и радость, без сомнения. Атмосфера вся цветная, повторяй движения. С Новым годом! I wanted that to keep going. Too short. I mean, I guess that's the point. I really liked that. I thought that was really fun. Filmed in a Christmas market. I don't know which town or city this is in. But if this is somewhere in Russia, is Diana famous enough? Is she well known enough to be spotted on the streets like a celebrity? Because if not, people will just see her, you know, dancing around with one of her AirPods in her left ear. Could be quite funny. Well, let's go back through it and I'll just try and point out some of the interesting things. There are a lot of interesting things in this, actually. The second time I'm seeing something by Brandon Stone, and yeah, I really liked it. So the obvious thing is the style. So it's quasi 50s, 60s music. You've got the, I mean, this is a big generalization, but it reminds me of a lot of the music from then. You've got the repeated, very regimented chords in the right hand of the piano with very minimal movement. So the root is C major. Here's a nice C major chord, and that's repeated in the right hand, and then it just changes. And then that chord is repeated. Absolute minimal movement, and we get a nice little dissonance, otherwise known as a suspension. So the right hand piano, very simple. What do we get to kind of work with that? Well, it's this really, really fun, really bouncy bass part. Again, it reminds me of a lot of the doo-wop groups around in the mid 20th century. If I were a bass with a limitless range that just goes down and down and down, I would love to sing something like this. Whether you're just doing the part that is dum, dum, on the strong beats, basically being the harmonic foundation, you're just indicating what the chord is, or you could be the other, more upbeat, more rhythmic part. Дед So even though there's not much going on musically, when you take her melody as well, I really like how the three main ideas, your bass part, your right hand in the piano at the top, and her melody, they just work really well together. Bass part moves around, right hand piano, very limited movement, and Diana's melody is kind of in between. Just moves down a little bit, back up, back down. It's a nice way to slowly get us into the song, even though the introduction is very abrupt. Let me know if you know anything about this and if there's something that isn't included in this video. It's very sudden. Anyway, so it's doing this. Why? Well, later on comes more exciting parts. And just where I paused, I'll come onto that in a second. I really like the chord progression there. So what we've just heard, now the background parts have gone from being cha 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 cha, or in the bass, dum, da da dum, you know, jumpy, bouncy rhythms, very sustained now. It's chords in the background, just held on sustained chords. And we actually get backing vocals there. And then they come off, and then back in. Quite high for a male in their chest voice. Is that Brandon Stone? I have received a lot of comments recommending a duet between Diana and Brandon Stone. So I have heard of him. Just the only time I've seen him is when he was playing piano for What a Wonderful World. So maybe he sings as well. Anyway, the point is now we've moved to sustained accompaniment. But what do we get in the piano? I'll call it the piano, but it's probably a synth because we get this bell tone sounding arpeggiated descent. Listen up for that. And then that goes into what I guess is the chorus. So leading into the chorus, the pre-chorus, I like the chord progression, nothing over the top, and it serves its purpose, which is to lead us into something very clearly. So what do we hear? The main thing is the bass part, you know, underneath everything, chromatic. And the chords above it. So our bass. And to group the whole chord together as though it were played on the piano. A nice scrunch chord. What we're hearing is higher up, you know, there's a significant range that we're hearing between all the parts, and that really allows for this rich sound. But I'm showing you here just so it's closer together, easier to visualize. We go from here, then the bass moves down, and the chord we get is... This is a dominant seventh chord, and more often than not, when we hear a dominant seventh chord, we know that the next chord is likely to be 5 notes down. Why it's called dominant seventh? Well, in music, dominant means note 5. So the chord after this is a C chord. The bass part goes down 5. So we end up in C. So the dominant note number 5 of C is G. And you add in the 7th note, which turns it into a dominant 7th. So when we hear that, we know we're probably going to be dropping down 5 notes, which we do. So it's a really nice chord progression, a nice setup into the chorus with that chromatic bass line and then that drop. And there are a lot of other layers in there that are very quiet, very subtle, but that just enrich the sound. They thicken the texture, how many sounds we're hearing at any one moment. That I'm hearing now, the second time listening, that I didn't hear the first time. And I guarantee next time I listen to it, and the time after that, and the time after that, I'll always be hearing these little new things. The one that I heard just now, again, right at the top of everything. Again, a bell tone sounding thing, could be anything in the age of technology. Very Christmassy, very much in the festive spirit. But that smooth melody, the drop, the move up, the sustained notes contrasts the main idea in that right-hand piano, cha, 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 really nicely. They come together really well. that it's just doing there, and when we hear this chord progression and her melody,
Улицы в огнях сверкают отражения.
and we arrive back exactly where we were before that phrase. So the chords are changing, taking us back to where we were just a few seconds ago, and it really keeps the music flowing nicely. Then we get some added harmonies higher up by Diana, really showing off her range. Relatively speaking, for a female, this is quite a low melody, as we so often see with her, but the upper part definitely is not low.
Пусть в вашем доме будет смех и радость, без сомнения. Атмосфера вся цветная, повторяй движения.
That was a nice bit, wasn't it? So we get the melody going. Oh, let me move that up an octave. This outline. It's outlining an F minor chord, so perhaps slightly darker undertones. And the main crux of this jump, of this phrase, is this is a major sixth. And in my videos, I always say I find the sixth my favorite interval most of the time. When I hear it, I don't know, I just like it. You can have your minor sixth or your major sixth. And it's interesting how this is a major sixth by itself, but in the context, it's outlining a minor chord. Why this also sounds quite funky is because we have the notes Diana is outlining, but amongst it all, we hear this note. If we add that into her notes, notice this clash between the two. And then if we reconstruct the chord to just make it look a bit more normal, there we go. Again, why it's called a major seventh is because if this is note number 1, Diana's note is the 7th note that's added in. So it's this clash here that makes it sound quite, catches our attention. And also the rhythms, cha-cha-cha-cha. We've had quite a lot of bounciness, but this is much more in line with that regimented right hand rhythmically. And it's just a descending arpeggio, and then going back up. You know, it's interesting.
Атмосфера вся цветная, повторяй движения. С Новым годом!
I think that's quite funny as well. Happy New Year in Russian. S Novym Godom. Makes you want to cheer along with it. The melody removed, we get these nice dum, da-da-dum, da-da-da-dum. Yeah, it's just nice and very catchy. And when they repeat the very interesting bit, I think, look at the lyrics. The atmosphere is full of color. Repeat the moves. Very fitting for this bit. You know, it's kind of like a change of atmosphere. They're repeating it. And there we go. Nice and short. I actually really enjoyed this one. Please let me know if you have any more context to this song. Is it part of a larger song? Is it just a standalone short song? If so, are there any others by her? Because yeah, I really enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this one. And also let me know what reaction you want me to do next for Diana. Like I said, I was planning on doing a different song. I won't tell you which one. If there's an overwhelming majority for another song in the comments below, then, well, I might have to do that one next. Thank you very much for watching. Would appreciate a like and subscribe. Seeing this video in the Christmas market has got me feeling very festive, making me want hot chocolate. So if you'd like to support me by donating me a hot chocolate or two, you can do so at the Buy Me a Coffee linked below. Or if you want to join the community, get access to exclusive content not available on YouTube, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen. And I will see you next time.